Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Top Shelf, and thank you guys so much for all the love and support you guys have been sending our way on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Podbean. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. It brings a lot of help and love and support to us, and it keeps us going ultimately. So, why Warner Brothers should end the DC Extended Universe. And I also want to preface this video by saying I don't want the DC Extended Universe to fail. I want them to succeed, but given everything we've seen so far and the things coming up, and like, keep in mind, we haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, at least at the time of this recording. It's just, I'm not feeling it, man. I would rather them just quit. Maybe not forever, but quit like in the short term. Let's just stop. Focus on something else. Really do lay the groundwork or do this again, but don't do this. I'd really just rather they don't do this in particular. So briefly, why do I think the DC Extended Universe sucks? And there's a lot of different reasons to this. One of the kind of my more nitpicky ones is just the universe is so dark. It's extremely dark. And we're not just talking idealistically, which I have a huge issue with, is that at least on the idealistic level, everybody is essentially Batman. Everybody is so dark and dour. Oh, vengeance is mine, or some kind of crap along this line, and it's just, it doesn't work. Each person in the Justice League is supposed to be unique in some regard, and they stand out as a result. But also, we're not just talking morally, we're talking visually. And in this one, and Marvel's doing the same thing, and it annoys me. They're just sucking the color out of everything. They're just pulling it out. And like with Marvel, they just kind of like desaturated some of the colors, but with the DC one, they just basically put this veneer over everything. That everything has to be in the grays, in the gray tone. It's like, or rather a metallic tone. Like Wonder Woman getting this kind of bronze vibe over everything, as opposed to like this Justice League one's more of like a silver kind of vibe to it. And it's just not fun to watch. It's just like, yeah, some of the action scenes are cool and all, but it just visually is not very striking. They don't stand out per se. And I just don't, it's so frustrating because you have all these powers, these people with all these big flashy powers and all this stuff, and yet it's just so dull. You just kind of get lost to it. It's so CGI. It visually, I have an issue with it, and that's more of a nitpick on my end. But really the big reason behind it is there's just no build-up or payoff with this series. Where Marvel was basically on the ropes when Iron Man came out, and they basically bet the whole farm on a cinematic universe. Say, hey, this might work. If it doesn't, we're screwed, but if it does, great. They basically put the whole farm on it and won, and built up these characters individually, one by one, until you loved them, until you liked them, until then they have a culminating movie in Avengers, and it meant something. For people who liked, like my family as an example. My dad loved Captain America. My mom and my sister loved Thor. I kind of liked Iron Man. I was more of a Hulk guy personally. And seeing them all on stage, it was like, it brought something together. It brought everything back all together to be interesting and fun and enjoyable again. And it just, everybody had some investment in it. Even if you didn't like all the characters, you at least had that one person you liked, and it just, you had that connection with them. And it was something where they just didn't bring that with the DC Extended Universe. It's basically, yeah, we're just throwing in Batman as a character in the Superman sequel. We're just throwing in just Wonder Woman's in here too, but yeah, she's gonna get a movie just before Justice League. But Justice League, you're gonna have Cyborg, Flash, and who else is there? Aquaman, who have no intros, and to some regard they don't really need one, but still, you don't care about these characters. You don't care about this particular Flash. You don't care about this particular Aquaman, and this is an issue. And if anybody dies, you're not gonna care. The other big thing I think everybody else has issues with is Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder visually is a great director. He can put together some good fight scenes when he's not using shaky cam plus CGI. It is so hard to follow and stuff like that in Man of Steel. Hard to follow those fights. But like the fight scenes are great and they're fun, and he knows how to frame a shot, and I give him pure credit for that. But he does not know how to direct a movie. He doesn't know how to tell a story. If you notice, if you go take a look at Zack Snyder's past repertoire of movies, there are only 2 movies I could even consider good. One is 300, and the other was Watchmen. Yeah, some people don't like Watchmen. Yeah, because they changed the ending. But the only reason those movies worked are because he's stuck almost word for word, panel for panel from the comics. He works good with source material, but when there's original content, he can't do it. The point where you knew Zack Snyder was a bad choice, there's this interview, and I keep bringing this up because it's important. It tells you his mindset. This was after, I think, The Dark Knight came out, and they asked him about, because Watchmen came out like right after it, and he was asked what he thought of Christopher Nolan's Batman series, and he responded with, you know, Batman Begins was great, but it didn't bring it edgy enough for me. If I had control of Batman, Batman would have been raped in prison. Yeah, go look that up. Just so you know I'm not making this up. This is real. He said this in an interview. He wanted Batman to be raped. This is why I have an issue with Zack Snyder. Let's be edgy for the sake of edgy, and I can't do that. I can't play that game. More specifically, why do I think the DC Extended Universe should end, per se? One, I'll be blunt. I'll be honest. Yeah, people know I'm more of a Marvel guy, but Marvel's been killing it. Marvel has a dominance over the market share. If you look at all the people making movies right now, the vast majority of them are Marvel movies. Disney's not only cranking them out, but you got Fox, who's now realized that R-rated superhero movies can be good, and now they're going to be cranking those out all the time. And you got Sony, who's going to be cranking out more Spider-Man movies coming out soon. And it's just so much, and they're doing so well. They're really just kind of flooding the market. And this is the thing. The superhero thing kind of runs in cycles. We really get really into it for a bit, then we take a little break. Sometimes it's a little faster, sometimes a little slower in terms of how long these cycles go. And we're in a really long cycle, guys. Basically, ever since 2012, we've been hitting it hard on the superhero stuff. Since Avengers, we have been having multiple superhero movies coming out, like at least 3. Well, Marvel's been doing almost 3 a year, which has been ridiculous. It's really, and then you have the DC stuff, and then Fox and like Sony throwing their stuff in the ring, and it's overwhelming the level of stuff they've been putting out. This is definitely going to be a concern in the long run, though. If DC wants to keep doing this, they're going to run the risk of which movie is going to be the the straw that broke the camel's back. Which movie is going to do it, and whatever movie that is going to get so much hate. And right now, Marvel's has done no wrong. Even the one wrong I think they've done, which was Iron Fist, was basically called out by people who actually saw it with the critics. And even then, that wasn't a movie; that was a TV show. It's just not. I would just sit it out and say, okay, we clearly can't breach this. Let's wait and be fresh and new. Whenever the thing's over, we wait our time. Like, I think that will be in their best benefit, just to wait it out. Now, the other thing, though, is, well, the big thing is the faulty foundation. I mean, let's be honest here. Warner Brothers basically gave Zack Snyder a blank check and said, yeah, go make our universe. Go do it. But they gave it to the wrong guy. And I think they've realized this now. They've got Jeff Johns from DC to go in there and basically fix the whole universe. But it might be a little too late because the foundation was already faulty. You could build the best skyscraper in the world, but if the foundation is still crap, that thing's going to fall over. It's going to be bad. And what I would suggest is, like, right now DC is just kind of in this bad position, other than their comics. Outside of the comics, they are in this really weak position. Their DC animation is not as good as it used to be. It's just not. It used to be stellar. It used to be some of the greatest stuff on television. It was amazing. Young Justice, but since Young Justice, everything's just kind of gotten lame. Like, all the movies that have come out have been like, not that great. Like, what comes to mind is like Justice League War. Was it Justice League versus Teen Titans? And they just haven't been that good. The Batman movies haven't been good. Killing Joke. I have not personally seen that yet, but I've heard it's pretty bad. Like, you see what I mean, though? This is concerning here. Like, everything's just kind of weak. They just pulled out for a little bit. They waited just to see how things kind of fold out here. They could really take advantage of the market share. That's the one thing where they beat Disney. Disney kind of scrambled after the Avengers kind of took off and they bought the rights for everything. They really kind of scrambled on their animation and everything else. They're so behind, like the games. There haven't really been any Avengers games. You haven't noticed that? Hasn't really been any. They just now announced the deal with Square Enix. Like, it's like what, 5 years? 5 years after Avengers to get a game deal? It's a bit late. So I mean, but Warner Brothers has just been killing it. They had the benefit of being owned by all one company, or DC had the benefit of being owned all by Warner Brothers. And they have the potential there. It's just not. They haven't realized that. If they just sit back and wait for a little bit, they could really take advantage of this. Now, the other thing in particular is look at Warner Brothers as a whole. They have just three that I can think of, three big cinematic universes they're working on. They're working on the DC Extended Universe. They're working on bringing Harry Potter back with this whole Fantastical Beasts thing. They're trying to make sequels to this. And it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on. And not just that, but now they have a whole kaiju universe with King Kong and Godzilla. There's going to be a ton of movies. If you guys have got to watch the end of Skull Island, there's so much going on in that movie. Like, it's going to be amazing. But the thing in particular is that now they have Warner Brothers is split between three different things. Yeah, Disney split between basically now just Star Wars and Marvel. Those are the two big things they're working on in terms of universes. And that's it. But Warner Brothers has at least got three. It's just way too much for them to be focused on. And the thing is, like, how do you have an identity for yourself as well? Disney just owns the whole PG-13 market. They just do. Like, they've figured it out. They've been cranking out these movies, and they won't go R. And now Sony and Fox are going to be taking their movies to R ratings. Look at Logan. Look at Deadpool. Look at those successes. You don't think Fox is going to keep copying that success? You don't think Sony's going to at least try their hand at it? Yeah, it's going to happen. And so with DC, where do you go? What do you use? And this is the issue they're going to run into. And they've, like I said before, what's in their best interest is to sit back, just say, hey, we're going to take a 5-year break. We'll let this all play out. Let everybody get tired of superheroes again, and we'll bring it back. We'll wait till the Avengers are over, and then we'll do Justice League, and we'll own the market. We'll let people who are tired of the end game want to see the beginning. Like, and this is the same thing happens in comics. Some people get tired with reading like the constant continuation. Some people want something new, and the Justice League could definitely fulfill that role in the new DC Extended Universe. So instead, what I would do in the meantime, scrap this crap, scrap it. Just don't bother with it. There's so much negative connotations with it. Just don't even bother. Just finish Justice League. It's already finished filming. Might as well just throw it out there. Finish it, stop it. Don't make another movie. Just stop there. And you wait for about 5-10 years. 10 years was a bit long, but basically wait it out. Let Disney do their thing. And let them kill themselves. Let them just oversaturate the market, make people pissed off at superheroes. Let that happen. Let them be the one to take the bullet. Let them be the cause of death for superhero movies. And what you do, you focus on the kaiju universe. I am completely serious by this. I think that their Godzilla King Kong universe has so much potential because nobody is doing something even remotely close to this. No one's thought, hey, let's make a cinematic universe of this. Now, there is another group, Universal. They're making the Universal movie, monster movie universe like Dracula, The Mummy, Wolfman, that kind of stuff. They basically bring that back from what they did in the 30s. And that's fine, but no one's doing giant monsters. Like, just imagine just like a few years from now, they're going to have their King Ghidorah movie. They're going to have a King Kong versus Godzilla movie. Imagine a Gamera movie. Bringing them all together, all of them fighting each other. Imagine how crazy that would be. Imagine how awesome. Seeing that on screen. And there's so many benefits to focusing on this instead. Because with comics, there's so much backstory and all this lore you gotta kind of condense down to make it like palpable for a movie. And like, but with the kaiju universe, I'm just calling it the kaiju universe. Just it's short and it's distinctive. It's less. It's more fluid. There's less backstory to it, and you can just bend things around to your will as long as it's cohesive. You don't have to do a lot of stuff. You don't have a fan base you have to absolutely please no matter what. Like you have less people being pissed at you if you change something important. Also, like I said, no one else is doing it. The closest thing is the Universal monster movie thing, which is totally different because it's a small scale stuff as opposed to giant monsters. And also, like the foundation's laid. You did the work. You got Godzilla and King Kong, and they were both decent movies. King Kong more so than Godzilla, but Godzilla did its point. It did what it had to do. It laid the groundwork. King Kong profited off of it, and now you're sitting on the gold mine. Now you're ready to start making real money. This is, and things like I said, it's unique, it's fun, and focus on this instead. Let Marvel kill themselves. Let them blow out the market, and you sit back and play your cards right. You say, okay, we're gonna do maybe not another reboot of the DC comic universe, but you say, all right, we're gonna play this out. We're all gonna be on the same tier here, and we're gonna have stories revolving around the movies and something close to that, and we're gonna plan this out perfectly. And we are going to have the animation on point. We're all going to have everything together, get our ducks in a row. So when we launch this thing, we are going to be working at peak efficiency. And if they did that, they could bring it back. Or even better, what they could do, if they still don't want to just throw away everything in the DC Extended Universe, keep it. Keep it. But you started off with a Captain Marvel movie. And let me paraphrase that. Basically, you bring in a younger hero. Someone like Billy Batson who's 10 years old. You bring him into the fold, and you bring everything from his eyes as the Justice League saved the world from Darkseid, and that was 10 years ago. Here's where we are now, or maybe 5 years ago. Everyone, they're kind of gone. They're all doing their own thing. We haven't seen Superman before, and a new hero has stepped into the fold and is kind of just bringing. Everyone just kind of brings back with everybody. Everyone just. Billy Batson is the audience and sees through Billy Batson's eyes the Justice League as they're supposed to be, and you give a great excuse for recasting or brightening up the image. You could do so much with that. And the thing, like I said before, I've said this 1,000 times before, maybe not in this video in particular. I've said it 1,000 times. The Marvel Universe is about being grounded. It's human beings elevated to godhood status, but they're still flawed because they're human. But on the other hand, DC is about gods among men. These are people already in the godhood status who are brought down to man, who are paragons of virtue, and they should be visually represented that way. That's what I want to see, guys. That's what I want to see from this universe. And I apologize for this being a long video. Like, it's almost gonna be 20 minutes. I don't really do 20-minute videos. I normally used to 5. I stick around there, but I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I do like it when you guys leave a comment, hit me up on Twitter or something like that. I really appreciate it, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Hit me up on Twitter. Leave a comment. Do whatever. I want to hear what you guys are going to say. This is Anchorman. I'm signing out. I'll see you guys later on the Inner Circle Network. See ya.